The council chamber floated in the dark space above Proxima 7. Inside the massive station, representatives from 40 different species gathered for their monthly meeting. The air processors worked overtime to manage the different atmospheres each race required. Some breathed methane, others nitrogen, and a few survived on sulfur compounds that would kill most life forms instantly. At the center of the chamber sat the Elders. They were the oldest species in the known galaxy, having watched civilizations rise and fall for over 10,000 years. Their leader, a being whose body looked like shifting sand held together by force fields, raised one appendage for silence. "We must discuss the quarantine zone again," the Elder said. Its voice came through translators, making the words sound flat and emotionless. Groans echoed through the chamber. This topic came up every single meeting, and most species found it tiresome. The quarantine surrounded a small yellow star in a backwater region of the galaxy. Nothing important existed there. No rare minerals, no strategic locations, nothing worth the effort. Commander Vecron of the Zalthor Empire leaned back in his seat. He was tall, nearly 7 feet, with blue-gray skin and 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on his face. His species had conquered 47 star systems in the past 2 centuries. They were warriors, proud and strong. "This again," Vecron said loud enough for others to hear. "We waste time on this primitive system while real threats exist in the outer rim." The Elder turned its attention to Vecron. "The Sol system remains off-limits to all species. This is not a suggestion. It is a law." "A law without reason," Vecron replied, standing up. "I have reviewed the data. The third planet, Earth, barely has chemical rockets. They have not left their own moon. They pose no threat to anyone." Other species murmured in agreement. The younger races, those who had joined the council in the past few centuries, saw the quarantine as outdated. Some suspected the Elders maintained it to keep resources for themselves. The Elders' form shifted, showing what might have been frustration. 6 times in our history, species have ignored this warning. 6 times they sent ships to investigate Earth's region. 6 times those ships never returned. "Convenient," Vecron said. "No evidence, no wreckage, just stories to scare us away from whatever you are hiding there." "We hide nothing," the Elder replied. "We protect you from yourselves." Keyleth, Vecron's science officer, pulled up a holographic display. He was smaller than his commander, with the same blue-gray skin but only 2 eyes. His species had evolved on a planet with low gravity and thin air. They moved slowly but thought quickly. "Look at this data," Keyleth said. "Earth's dominant species, humans, have only existed in their current form for about 200,000 years. They discovered fire 10,000 years ago. They invented flight barely a century ago. By what measure are they dangerous?" The Elder looked at the data and then at Keyleth. "Have you studied their planet's conditions?" "Standard Class 3 planet," Keyleth replied. "Oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere, water-based life, moderate temperature ranges." "Moderate?" The Elder's form rippled like water. "Their gravity is twice what most species can survive. Their atmosphere has enough oxygen to cause fires that burn for days. Their oceans contain enough salt to poison most life. They have weather patterns that generate winds strong enough to level cities. They have tectonic activity that causes the ground itself to shake and split. Their planet is a death trap," Vecron laughed. "And yet these humans survive. That makes them hardy, not dangerous." "You do not understand," the Elder said. "A species that evolves in such conditions does not become dangerous because of technology. They are dangerous because of what they had to become to survive. Every other species in this council evolved on gentle worlds. You," the Elder pointed at Vecron, "evolved on a planet with barely any predators. Most species here never knew real hunger, real competition, real desperation." "You insult my species," Vecron said, his 3 eyes narrowing. "I state facts," the Elder replied. "Humans have no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no armor. They are not the strongest or fastest on their own planet. Yet they climb to the top of their food chain by being more clever, more persistent, and more ruthless than anything else that lived there. They hunt by chasing prey until it dies of exhaustion. They survived ice ages that covered their entire planet. They fought diseases that killed millions and came back stronger. The chamber fell quiet. Some species shifted uncomfortably. When humans discovered other groups of their own species, the Elder continued, they did not trade or cooperate first. They went to war. For thousands of years, they fought each other with increasing brutality. They invented weapons specifically designed to kill their own kind in the most efficient ways possible. They turned their entire civilization into a war machine multiple times. And each time they convinced themselves it was necessary. So they fight amongst themselves, Vecran said. Many species have civil conflicts. Not like humans, the elder said. When humans fight, they fight completely. They burn cities to ash. They poison fields so nothing grows. They create weapons that kill thousands at once. And then after the war ends, they study what they did to become better at it next time. War is not something humans do. War is something humans are. Calith looked at his data pad again. The reports say they are still fighting each other now, even as they reach for space. Exactly, the elder said. Imagine what they will do when they stop fighting themselves and start looking outward. Imagine that capacity for violence, that survival instinct, that unwillingness to surrender, pointed at other species. Vecran crossed his arms. You paint them as monsters. If they are so dangerous, why not eliminate them now while they are weak? Because the elders made that mistake once, another elder spoke up. This one looked like living crystal, refracting light into rainbow patterns. 50,000 years ago, we encountered another Death World species. We deemed them too dangerous to exist. We sent a fleet to cleanse their planet. We failed. They not only survived our attack, they traced it back to us. The war lasted 300 years and cost billions of lives. We won only because they finally chose peace, not because we defeated them. That species now lives in voluntary exile beyond the galactic rim, and we pray they never decide to return. The chamber went silent. The elders rarely spoke of their past failures. So you are afraid? Vecran said quietly. We are wise, the elder replied. We have seen enough to know that some species should be left alone. Not because we cannot defeat them, but because the cost of trying is too high. Let the humans develop at their own pace. Let them come to us when they are ready. If we force contact now, we may create an enemy we cannot defeat. Vecran sat down, but his expression showed he was not convinced. He had built his career on conquest. He had never encountered a species that could truly challenge the Zalthor Empire. The idea that primitive humans represented any real threat seemed absurd. The meeting continued, moving to other topics. Trade agreements, border disputes, resource allocation, all the usual business of running a galactic civilization. But Vecran barely listened. His mind was elsewhere. That night, back on his flagship, Vecran called together his top officers. Calith, his science officer, stood at attention along with military commanders, engineers, and navigators. I want a fleet assembled, Vecran said. 12 ships, full military loadout. We are going to the Sol system. Calith's eyes widened. Commander, the Council forbids it. The Council forbids many things, Vecran replied. But my empire needs new colonies, new resources, and I will not let superstitious old species tell us where we can and cannot go. Besides, what will the Council do? We will be heroes when we return with proof that the elders are wrong. And if the elders are right? Calith asked quietly. Vecran smiled, showing pointed teeth. Then we will be the first species to test ourselves against these so-called Death World humans. Either way, we will make history. The preparations took 3 weeks. Vecran told the Council he was conducting training exercises near the border. He moved his ships slowly, carefully, making sure no one tracked their true destination. His fleet consisted of his flagship, 5 heavy cruisers, 4 destroyers, and 2 support ships. It was enough firepower to conquer most primitive civilizations. On the day they left, Calith found the Elder's warning message in the historical database. It had been sent to every species that ignored the quarantine before. The message was simple and had been the same for thousands of years. You have been warned. What happens next is your own choice. Calith showed it to Vecran, who only laughed. Let them warn us, Vecran said as the fleet entered hyperspace. In a few days we will return with the truth. And the truth is that humans are no more special than any other species we have conquered. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, heading toward Earth's region. Behind them on the Council station, the Elder stood at a window looking out at the stars. Another species had ignored the warning. Another species would learn the hard way. The Elder wondered if any of Vecran's ships would survive long enough to send a warning to others. Probably not. Humans did not leave survivors to tell tales. They left only wreckage and silence. The quarantine would remain in place, and eventually, when humans were ready, they would come out on their own. The galaxy would have to deal with them then. But at least it would be on human terms, not as invaders but as equals who had proven themselves, or perhaps as conquerors. With humans, the Elder thought, You never really knew which it would be. The Zalthor fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Neptune. The gas giant hung in the darkness, its blue surface swirling with storms. Vecran stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the displays light up with sensor data. "Report," he ordered. Keyleth worked at his station, his two eyes scanning multiple screens at once. System scan beginning. The third planet, Earth, is 8 astronomical units away. I am picking up electromagnetic signals, radio waves, digital communications, primitive satellite broadcasts. As expected, Vecran said, a species barely into its technological age. What about defenses? Keyleth frowned. His fingers moved across the controls, bringing up more detailed scans. "Commander, I am detecting something unusual. There are structures throughout the system, near Mars, in the asteroid belt, around Jupiter's moons. They appear to be stations of some kind. Mining operations, probably," Vecran said. "They are gathering resources from their own system. Nothing concerning." "Perhaps," Keyleth said, but his tone suggested doubt. "But there are hundreds of them. For a species that supposedly just reached its own moon, they have spread remarkably far." Vecran waved a hand dismissively. They had 50 years since they reached the moon. Plenty of time to build some mining stations. Continue the advance. Take us toward the inner system. The 12 Zalthor ships moved forward in formation. They followed standard military protocol, with the flagship in the center, heavy cruisers forming a protective shell, and destroyers ranging ahead as scouts. On Jupiter's moon Europa, deep inside a military base hidden beneath the ice, alarms began to sound. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking coffee when the alert came through. He was in his 40s, with short dark hair going gray at the temples, and the calm expression of someone who had seen too much to panic easily. "Talk to me," Jake said, setting down his coffee and moving to the command station. Lieutenant Amy Chen, his tactical officer, pulled up the sensor data on the main screen. She was young, maybe 30, with quick hands and sharper eyes. "We have 12 ships unknown configuration, entering from the Neptune region. They are heading our way. No transponder signals, no communication, no identification." Jake studied the screen. The ships were large, much larger than anything humans had built. Their design was alien, literally. Smooth curves, instead of the angular human ships' energy signatures that did not match any known engine type. "First contact," Jake said quietly. "Not how I expected to spend my Tuesday. Communications get me Admiral Stone. Priority channel." The communications officer nodded. "Connecting now, sir." The screen split, showing both the alien ships and the face of Admiral Rebecca Stone. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back tight with eyes that could cut through steel. She commanded the Third Fleet from her base on Mars. "I see them, Jake," she said before he could speak. "Every sensor in the system is locked on those ships. They are not responding to hails. No attempts at communication. They are just advancing." "Orders?" Jake asked. Rebecca was quiet for a moment, thinking. "The protocol is clear. Unknown ships entering human space without identification are considered hostile until proven otherwise. Go dark. Power down everything except essential systems and weapons. Track them but stay hidden. If they make any aggressive moves, you have permission to engage." "Understood," Jake said. "Freedom's call going silent." The screen went dark. Throughout the Sol system, human ships powered down. Hundreds of platforms, destroyers, carriers, and cruisers seemed to vanish from sensors. They still existed, still tracked the alien fleet, but they became invisible ghosts in the darkness. Vecran noticed the change immediately. "Keyleth, where did those signals go?" "Unknown, Commander," Keyleth replied, working frantically at his controls. "They were there a moment ago, hundreds of electromagnetic signatures. Now they are gone." "They cannot just disappear," Vecran said. "Unless they powered down deliberately," Keyleth said. "Commander, this might be a defensive posture. They know we are here." Vecran laughed. "Defensive? From what? We have made no hostile moves. Open a channel. Send them our standard greeting." The Zalthor communication traveled across space at light speed. It was a standard first contact message, translated into mathematical language that any technological species should understand. The message explained that the Zalthor Empire came in peace, seeking to establish relations and trade. It was a lie, of course. Vecron had no intention of trading. He wanted to see how the humans responded to pressure. If they showed weakness, he would demand their surrender. If they showed strength, he would adjust his approach. Either way, he would leave this system with something valuable. The response came 3 seconds later. A tight beam transmission aimed directly at Vecron's flagship. The voice was female, calm, and cold. "This is Admiral Rebecca Stone of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered sovereign human territory without permission. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave this system. This is your only warning." Vecron stared at the communication console. The audacity was shocking. A species that barely had spaceflight was giving him orders. Did she just threaten us? One of the Zalthor officers asked, disbelief clear in his voice. Kalith looked worried. "Commander, perhaps we should consider her warning. We do not know what weapons they possess." "Weapons?" Vecron laughed. "They have chemical rockets, Kalith. Probably some basic missiles. Nothing that can penetrate our shields. Send a response. Tell them we are a military fleet of the Zalthor Empire. Tell them to prepare for inspection. If they resist, we will consider it an act of aggression." The message was sent. Vecron counted down the seconds in his head. He wanted the humans to refuse. It would give him the excuse he needed to show force. The council could not argue with self-defense. 20 seconds passed. Then 30. No response from the humans. "Time is up," Vecron said. "Charge weapons. Lock onto the nearest human station. Fire a warning shot past it. Show them we mean business." "Commander, sensors are detecting energy spikes," Keyleth said, his voice rising. "Multiple sources. I count over 50 separate contacts all around us." "What?" Vecron spun to look at the tactical display. The darkness of space suddenly lit up like a festival. Rails guns hidden in the shadow of asteroids and dead moons opened fire simultaneously. Solid projectiles moving at a fraction of light speed crossed the distance in seconds. The Zalthor, shields activated automatically, but they were designed for energy weapons. The solid slugs punched through like hammers through paper. 3 ships, 2 cruisers, and a destroyer took direct hits. Their engines exploded, sending them spinning out of control. "Evasive maneuvers," Vecron shouted. "Return fire. All ships, return fire." The Zalthor fleet scattered, breaking formation as they tried to locate the attackers. Their weapons fired blindly into space, energy beams cutting through the dark but hitting nothing. The human platforms had fired and then gone silent again, moving to new positions. Jake watched from his command station as the alien ships panicked. "Target the flagship, prepare missiles, nuclear payload, wait for my command." Amy worked her console. "Target locked, missiles ready." "Hold," Jake said. He wanted to see what the aliens would do. If they ran, he might let them go. If they advanced toward Earth, he would destroy every single ship. Vecron's flagship shook from another impact. A railgun slug had clipped their port side, not enough to disable them, but enough to make it clear they were vulnerable. "Damage report," Vecron demanded. "Shields at 60%, an officer reported. "Hull breach on Deck 7 sealed. 3 ships disabled, 1 destroyed. The enemy is using kinetic weapons moving at extremely high velocity." "Where are they shooting from?" Vecron asked. "Everywhere," Keyleth said, fear now clear in his voice. "Commander, we are surrounded. They hid weapons platforms throughout the system. We flew right into a trap." Vecron felt ice in his stomach. This was not how it was supposed to go. Primitive species did not set traps. They did not have system-wide defense networks. They definitely did not damage modern military vessels with simple kinetic weapons. "Send a message," Vecron said. "Tell them we are withdrawing. This was a misunderstanding." Kalith worked quickly. The message was sent. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the human admiral's face appeared on their screen again. "You fired on human installations," Rebecca said. "That is an act of war. Your withdrawal request is denied. Power down your weapons and engines. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction. Boarded? Vecran could not believe what he was hearing. You cannot board Zalthor military vessels. Watch us, Rebecca said, and closed the channel. Vecran turned to his officers. Prepare for combat. All ships full power to shields and weapons. We will fight our way out of this system. Commander, we have 3 ships disabled and we cannot even see the enemy, Kalith said. We should consider surrender. Never, Vecran shouted. I will not be the first Zalthor commander to surrender to a primitive species. All ships advance toward Earth. If we take their planet, they will have to negotiate. It was the worst decision Vecran could have made. The moment his fleet turned toward Earth, every human ship in the system activated. Destroyers appeared from behind moons. Carriers launched fighter craft. Cruisers that had been hiding in the asteroid belt opened fire with full broadsides. Jake's ship, Freedom's Call, came in fast from the side. All batteries fire at will. Target their engines and weapons. The human ships moved like predators, fast and aggressive. They did not maintain safe distances. They closed in, using the confusion to their advantage. Missiles streaked across space, most armed with conventional explosives, but a few carrying nuclear warheads. The Zalthor fleet tried to form a defensive circle, but it was too late. They were outmatched not in technology but in tactics. The humans fought like they had been born in space, using every advantage, taking every risk. A human destroyer, smaller than the Zalthor cruisers, flew directly through a debris field at full speed. Zalthor sensors lost track of it among the wreckage. When it emerged on the other side, it was less than a kilometer from a Zalthor ship. The destroyer fired everything it had at point-blank range. The Zalthor cruiser broke apart, its reactor going critical and adding to the expanding cloud of debris. Vecran watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. 5 ships gone in minutes. The remaining 7 were damaged, shields failing, weapons running low on power. Commander, we have to retreat, Kalith said. Please, we cannot win this fight. Vecran knew he was right. Pride had brought them here. Pride would kill them if they stayed. All ships retreat. Maximum speed. Get us out of this system. The Zalthor ships turned and ran, their engines burning at full power. The human ships pursued for several minutes, firing as they went, and then broke off the chase. On Freedom's Call, Jake watched the aliens flee. Let them go. Send a message to the fleet. Secure the disabled ships and prepare boarding teams. Let's find out exactly who these people are, and why they thought attacking us was a good idea. Amy looked at her captain. Do you think they will come back with more ships? Jake considered the question. Maybe, but if they do, they will come prepared. And that means we need to be more prepared than they are. In the wreckage of the battle, 3 disabled Zalthor ships drifted helplessly. Their crews knew what came next. The humans would board them. And based on what they had just witnessed, the Zalthor warriors were not looking forward to meeting humans face to face. Vecran's flagship jumped to hyperspace with 6 other ships. They had lost 5 vessels, hundreds of crew, and all their pride. The humans had not just defeated them. They had made it look easy. Vecran's remaining ships regrouped near Mars. They had jumped away from Earth but stayed in the system, unwilling to admit complete defeat. The fleet doctor worked overtime treating the wounded. Dozens of Zalthor warriors had been injured when the railgun slugs tore through their ships. Status report, Vecran demanded. He sat in his command chair, his 3 eyes dim with exhaustion. Kalith pulled up the damage assessments. 6 ships remain operational. All have taken damage. Shields are regenerating, but slowly. We lost 42% of our weapons capacity. Life support is stable. And the humans? They have stopped pursuing, Kalith said. Their ships are securing the 3 vessels we left behind. Commander, we need to call for reinforcements. Vecran hated the idea, but Kalith was right. They had walked into something far more dangerous than expected. The humans were not primitive. They were prepared, organized, and surprisingly violent. Send a message to the Empire, Vecran said. Tell them we encountered unexpected resistance. Request additional fleet support. The message was sent through hyperspace communication. It would reach Zalthor High Command in a few hours. Until then, Vecran and his remaining ships would wait, watch, and try to understand what had gone wrong. Near Jupiter, the human boarding teams prepared for their mission. Colonel Danny Wright stood in the armory, checking his equipment one more time. He was a big man, over 6 feet tall and 200 pounds of muscle. He had served in human conflicts for 20 years before volunteering for space duty. "Listen up," Danny said to his squad of 12 Marines. "We are going into an unknown environment. We don't know the ship layout, don't know their capabilities, don't know how they will react. Assume everything is hostile until proven otherwise. Stick to your teams. Watch your corners." "No heroes," the Marines nodded. They wore powered armor, heavy suits that amplified their strength and protected them from vacuum. Each carried weapons designed for shipboarding, short-range rifles that would not penetrate hulls, plasma cutters for sealed doors, and backup sidearms. Their transport ship was called the Raven. It was small, fast, and designed for stealth. The pilot, Lieutenant Chris Patterson, ran through his pre-flight checks. "How close can you get us?" Danny asked. Chris smiled. He was young, maybe 25, with the kind of confidence that came from being very good at a very dangerous job. "I can dock us right on their hull if you want. They won't see us coming." "Do it," Danny said. The Raven launched from Freedom's Call and moved through space using minimal power. It looked like another piece of debris, just more wreckage from the battle. The Zalthor ships were focused on human military vessels. They did not notice the small transport craft approaching. Chris brought the Raven alongside one of the disabled Zalthor cruisers. The ship was dark, its engines dead, only emergency power keeping the life support running. He activated magnetic clamps, attaching the Raven to the alien hull. "We are locked on," Chris said. "Good luck in there." Danny and his team moved into the airlock. They used plasma cutters to burn through the outer hull of the Zalthor ship. The metal glowed red, then white, then melted away. Atmosphere hissed out. But the breach was small enough that the internal doors sealed automatically. The Marines entered through the hole, their armor lights cutting through the darkness. The interior of the ship was cold and smelled strange, like ozone mixed with something sweet. "Split into 3 teams, Danny ordered. Alpha team, take engineering. Bravo team, secure the bridge. Charlie team, you are with me. We are going to weapons control." The teams moved out. Danny led Charlie team through narrow corridors that were clearly designed for beings smaller than humans. The Zalthor were tall but thin. The humans, in their bulky armor, barely fit through some passages. They encountered the first Zalthor warriors 3 minutes into the breach. A group of 5 aliens came around a corner carrying energy weapons. They stopped when they saw the humans, clearly surprised by the size and appearance of the armored figures. For a moment, both sides stared at each other. Then the Zalthor opened fire. The energy beams splashed against human armor, scorching but not penetrating. The Marines returned fire immediately. Their weapons used solid ammunition, bullets designed to punch through armor and flesh alike. The sound in the enclosed space was deafening. The fight lasted 5 seconds. All 5 Zalthor went down. The humans advanced without hesitation. "Contact," Danny reported over the comm. 5 hostiles down. "Continuing to objective." "Copy that," came the response from Freedom's Call. "Alpha team reports resistance in engineering. Bravo team has reached the bridge, but the doors are sealed." Danny and his team reached weapons control. The door was locked, but one of the Marines attached a breaching charge. The explosion was small but effective. The door blew inward and the Marines rushed through. Inside, a dozen Zalthor warriors waited with weapons ready. They had prepared an ambush using control consoles as cover. The firefight was brutal and fast. The Zalthor had superior numbers, but the humans had superior armor and weapons. More importantly, they had trained for exactly this kind of combat. Every human soldier had spent years learning to fight in enclosed spaces, breaching buildings, clearing rooms, winning battles where every corner could hide an enemy. Danny moved like a force of nature. His armor gave him strength beyond what his body alone could manage. He grabbed a Zalthor warrior and threw him across the room. Another alien tried to stab him with some kind of blade. The weapon scraped across his armor, doing no damage. Danny grabbed the blade, pulled it from the Zalthor's hands, and used it to disable the alien's weapon. Within 2 minutes, weapons control was secured. Half the Zalthor were unconscious. The other half had retreated deeper into the ship. "Alpha team status," Danny called. "We have engineering," came the reply. "No casualties on our side. The aliens are not equipped for close combat. Their weapons are weak against our armor." "Bravo team?" "Bridge secured. We blew the doors. The command crew surrendered when they saw us. I think they are terrified of us." Danny looked around weapons control. The Zalthor had built their ships for space combat, for long-range warfare. They had never considered that someone would board them, would fight them inside their own vessels. That oversight was costing them everything. "Good work, everyone," Danny said. "Secure the ship and prepare to receive technical teams. The brass will want to study this technology." While Danny's team secured one ship, similar operations happened on the other two disabled vessels. Human Marines swept through the alien cruisers like a storm. The Zalthor defenders tried to fight back, but they were at every disadvantage. The Zalthor had evolved on a low-gravity world. Moving in normal gravity was tiring for them. The humans had evolved on a high-gravity planet. Moving in the lower gravity of the ships made them faster and stronger than usual. The Zalthor had thin atmosphere in their ships because that was what they needed. The humans wore sealed armor and did not care what the atmosphere was like. Most critically, the Zalthor had never really fought a ground war. Their species had conquered other planets from space, using superior technology to force surrender. They knew void combat, ship-to-ship warfare, orbital bombardment, but hand-to-hand fighting, room-clearing, close-quarters battle, they had no experience with it. Humans, on the other hand, had spent their entire existence fighting each other on the ground. Every military on Earth had trained thousands of soldiers in urban warfare, building-to-building combat, room-clearing procedures. Those skills translated perfectly to shipboarding. On Vekran's flagship, the commander watched helplessly as his 3 disabled ships fell to human control. The humans had not asked for surrender. They had simply taken what they wanted by force. "They are animals," one of Vekran's officers said with disgust. "Fighting like beasts." Khalith shook his head. "No, they are soldiers." "Very good soldiers. Look at how they move. Every action is calculated. They work together perfectly. They take risks that seem insane but somehow succeed. This is not savagery. This is a level of combat experience we do not have." "How is that possible?" the officer asked. "We have conquered dozens of planets." "From orbit," Khalith said quietly. "When was the last time Zalthor warriors fought hand-to-hand? When did we last need to clear a room full of enemies? Our entire military doctrine is based on technological superiority at range. The humans fight up close, personal, brutal. They are good at it because they practice it against each other constantly." Vekran listened to this analysis with growing anger. Everything the elders had warned about was coming true. Humans were dangerous not because of their technology, but because of what they were. "The reinforcements," Vekran said.
"How long until they arrive?"
6 hours, Keyleth replied. "Then we wait," Vekran said. "When they arrive, we will have 30 ships. The humans cannot stand against that much firepower." But even as he said it, Vekran had doubts. The humans had destroyed half his fleet with what seemed like minimal effort. They had boarded his ships and taken them in minutes. What would they do when faced with 30 ships? Back on the captured Zalthor cruiser, Danny stood on the bridge and looked at the command controls. Human technicians were already downloading data, pulling everything they could from the alien computers. "What have we got?" Danny asked. One technician looked up from his console. "Everything, sir. Ship specifications, weapon systems, navigation data, communication protocols. These ships are more advanced than ours in some ways, but not as much as you'd think. Different approach to technology, but not superior." "Good," Danny said. "Send it all back to command. They will want this information." Another Marine approached. "Colonel, the prisoners are secured. We have 73 Zalthor in custody. What should we do with them?" Danny thought about it. "Standard prisoner protocols. Medical care for the wounded. Food and water. We are not barbarians. Treat them according to the laws of war." The Marine nodded and left to carry out the orders. Jake's voice came over the comm. "Danny, we are tracking movement. The remaining alien ships are being joined by more vessels. Looks like they called for backup. Count is up to 30 ships now." Danny smiled grimly. "Then I guess we are going to have more company soon." "How are we looking on our side?" "The rest of Third Fleet is moving into position," Jake said. "The Admiral wants these aliens to understand they made a mistake. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten Earth." Out in space, more human ships arrived. They had been stationed throughout the system, protecting different colonies and installations. Now they gathered near Mars, forming a line between the Zalthor and Earth. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, each one carrying weapons designed to kill. Fighter craft launched by the hundreds. Pilots eager to test themselves against alien enemies. Missile platforms activated, their targeting systems locking onto the Zalthor fleet. Admiral Rebecca Stone stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the tactical display. The Zalthor had 30 ships now. The humans had 47. But numbers only told part of the story. "Open a channel to the alien commander," Rebecca ordered. The screen flickered, showing Vecran's face. He looked tired, scared, but still defiant. "This is Admiral Rebecca Stone. You came to our system without permission. You refused to leave when ordered. You fired on human installations. By any measure, you committed acts of war. You attacked us first," Vecran said. "No," Rebecca replied calmly. "We defended ourselves." "There is a difference. Now you have called for reinforcements. That tells me you intend to continue fighting. So let me be very clear. If your ships make any aggressive moves toward Earth or any human installation, we will destroy you. All of you. We have the capability and we have the will." Vecran looked at his tactical display. The human ships outnumbered his forces. More importantly, after what he had witnessed, he had no doubt they could make good on that threat. "What do you want?" Vecran asked. "Leave our system," Rebecca said. "Take your ships and go. Tell whoever sent you that Earth is not available for conquest. Tell them that humans defend what is theirs. And tell them that if they try again, they will face the same fate you did today." Vecran's pride screamed at him to refuse to fight, to die with honor rather than retreat in shame. But he was also smart enough to know when he was beaten. "We will leave," Vecran said. "But this is not over. The Zalthor Empire does not forget insults." Rebecca smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Neither do humans. Safe travels, Commander. Don't come back." The news reached the Galactic Council 3 days after the battle. Vecran's report was brief and humiliating. He admitted to losing 5 ships, having 3 more captured, and retreating from a species the Council had warned him about. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had supported Vecran's confidence now distanced themselves from him. Those who had questioned the quarantine now fell silent. The elders who had warned against contact for thousands of years said nothing. They simply watched and waited. "This is a disaster," one council member said. The speaker was from the Drexel species, a race of floating gas beings. "We cannot allow a species to destroy council ships without consequences." "Vecran violated the quarantine," another member replied. This was a Thalrix, an insect-like species known for following rules precisely. He brought this upon himself and his crew. But what message does this send? The Drexel continued. "That any species can attack council vessels if they claim defense?" The elder who had warned Vecran rose to speak. Its sand-like form shifted into a vaguely humanoid shape. "The message it sends is that actions have consequences. For thousands of years we maintained the quarantine for good reasons. Commander Vecran chose to ignore those reasons. The humans did exactly what we predicted they would do. They defended their territory with overwhelming force. So we do nothing?" A young species representative asked. "No," the elder said. "We do what we should have done before. We contact the humans officially. No more quarantine. No more hiding. They have proven themselves capable of space warfare. They have shown they will defend themselves. It is time to acknowledge their existence and establish formal relations." The vote was close, but it passed. For the first time in 10,000 years, the quarantine around Earth's region would be lifted. A delegation would be sent to establish contact. But this time, it would be peaceful contact, with full diplomatic protocols and no military vessels. The elder who had warned Vecran volunteered to lead the delegation. It wanted to see these humans for itself, to understand what made them so different from other species. 2 weeks later, the elder's diplomatic ship approached Earth. This time, there was no surprise, no hidden approach. The ship broadcast its intentions clearly, requested permission to enter human space, and waited patiently for a response. Jake Morrison was again the first human to make contact. His ship, Freedom's Call, met the diplomatic vessel near Jupiter. Unidentified ship. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Defense Force. State your intentions." The elder's voice came through, translated into English by sophisticated computers. "Captain Morrison, I am Elder Saren of the Galactic Council. I come with peaceful intentions to establish formal diplomatic relations between the Council and humanity." Jake glanced at Amy, who nodded. Their sensors showed the ship was unarmed, running minimal shields, every sign pointing to a genuine diplomatic mission. "You are cleared to approach Earth," Jake said. "We will provide an escort. Please follow our navigation instructions exactly." "Understood, Captain. Thank you." The diplomatic ship was escorted to Earth orbit, where a station had been prepared for the meeting. Admiral Rebecca Stone represented humanity, along with Dr. Lisa Morgan, Earth's chief xenobiologist, and Senator Paul Garcia, who handled foreign policy. When Elder Saren materialized on the station, the humans got their first close look at an alien being. The Elder's sand-like form shifted constantly, holding shape through some kind of force field. It had no face, no eyes, but somehow the humans felt it was looking at them. "Welcome to Earth's orbit," Rebecca said. "I apologize for the circumstances of our first contact with your species." "The circumstances were of our own making," Saren replied. Commander Vecron was warned. He chose to ignore that warning. "You defended yourselves appropriately," Paul stepped forward. "We appreciate your understanding. We are interested in learning more about the Galactic Council and finding our place in the wider galaxy." "That is why I am here," Saren said. "But first I must understand something. We have studied your history. Your species has been at war with itself for thousands of years. You have weapons capable of destroying your own planet. Your first instinct when Vecron appeared was violence. Why should the Council trust that humans can coexist peacefully with other species?" Lisa spoke up. She had prepared for this question. "Because we understand the difference between defense and aggression. Yes, we fight amongst ourselves. We have wars, conflicts, violence, but we also have laws, treaties, peace agreements. We know how to negotiate, how to compromise, how to live together despite differences. What happened with the Zalthor was defense, pure and simple. They invaded our space, refused to leave, and fired on our installations. We responded with appropriate force. If they had come peacefully, we would have responded peacefully." Saren seemed to consider this. "And what if other species see humans as a threat? What if they attack you out of fear?" Rebecca answered this time. "Then we will defend ourselves. But we will not start wars. We will not invade other systems. We will not threaten species that leave us alone. However, make no mistake, we will not allow ourselves to be victims. Any species that attacks Earth will face the full force of humanity's military. That is what concerns many Council species," Saren said. "Your military capabilities far exceed what we expected from a species at your technological level." Lisa pulled up a holographic display. "Then let me explain why. May I give a presentation?" Saren agreed, and Lisa began what would become one of the most important lectures in galactic history. "Humans evolved on what you would call a death world," Lisa said. The display showed Earth rotating slowly. "Our planet has gravity nearly twice what most species consider normal. Our atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen, which makes fires burn hotter and faster. We have weather systems that can level cities, earthquakes that split the ground, volcanoes that block out the sun for months." The display changed, showing various Earth disasters: hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. "We evolved alongside predators that could kill us easily," Lisa continued. "We had no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no thick armor. We were slow compared to many animals, weak compared to others, so we learned to be smart. We learned to work together. We learned to make tools and weapons." The display showed human evolution, from primitive stone tools to modern weapons. "For hundreds of thousands of years, we competed with each other for resources," Lisa said. "Tribe against tribe, nation against nation. We developed warfare into a science. We studied how to kill each other efficiently. We built weapons of incredible power, and then we realized that those same weapons could destroy us all." The display showed nuclear explosions, mushroom clouds rising over cities. "We came very close to extinction several times," Lisa said quietly. "War, disease, climate change. Each time we survived through adaptation and cooperation. We learned hard lessons about the cost of conflict, but we never forgot how to fight. We just became more careful about when to fight." The display changed to show human space stations, ships, weapons platforms. "When we reached space, we brought all of that with us," Lisa said. "Our survival instinct, our ability to cooperate under pressure, our understanding of warfare, our technological innovation. We did not militarize space because we are aggressive. We militarized space because we assumed the universe was hostile. And based on what happened with the Zalthor, we were right to make that assumption." Saren was silent for a long moment. "You are saying that humans are dangerous because you have had to be?" "Exactly," Lisa said. "Every species in the Council evolved on relatively peaceful worlds. You had time to develop technology slowly. You could afford to be peaceful because your environments did not constantly threaten you. Humans never had that luxury. We are the product of millions of years of survival pressure. Fighting is not what we want. It is what we know how to do very well. Paul added. But we are also capable of incredible compassion. We help each other. We build societies based on cooperation. We create art, music, literature. We fall in love and raise families. We are not monsters. We are survivors who want to live in peace but are prepared for war. Rebecca stood up. Let me be direct, Elder Saren. Humans want to join the galactic community. We want to trade, learn, explore, and make friends. But we will do so on our terms. We will not be bullied. We will not be threatened. We will not allow anyone to dictate what we can and cannot do in our own space. If the Council can accept that, then we can work together. If not, we will remain in our system and develop on our own. Saren's form rippled in what might have been amusement. You are offering the Council an ultimatum? Accept you as equals or be ignored? Yes, Rebecca said simply. That is exactly what I am offering. For a long moment, Saren said nothing. Then its form shifted into something that might have been a nod. I will present this to the Council. I suspect many species will object. Some will be offended by your confidence. Others will be frightened by your capabilities. And what will you recommend? Lisa asked. That we accept your terms, Saren said, because the alternative is worse. If we reject humanity, you will develop on your own. In a few decades, maybe a century, you will be even more advanced. And when you finally come out into the galaxy on your own terms, you will have no reason to trust us, no reason to cooperate, and every reason to see us as potential threats. Better to establish positive relations now while we have the chance. Paul smiled. That is very wise, Elder Saren. Wisdom comes from experience, Saren replied. And I have seen what happens when the Council acts out of fear rather than reason. I will advocate for your acceptance, but understand that this will change the galaxy. Other species will want to test themselves against humans. Some will seek alliance. Others will plot against you. You will make enemies simply by existing. We already have enemies, Rebecca said. We are used to it. Saren left the station and returned to the Council. The debate lasted 3 days. Species argued for and against allowing humans into the galactic community. Some wanted to reject them entirely, maintaining isolation. Others wanted to exploit them, using human military power for their own purposes. A few, the wiser ones, simply wanted to establish normal relations and see what happened. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would be welcomed into the Galactic Council as a junior member. They would have access to trade networks, knowledge databases, and diplomatic channels. In exchange, they would agree to follow Council laws regarding warfare, expansion, and interaction with other species. When the news reached Earth, celebrations erupted across the planet.
Humanity was no longer alone.
They were part of something larger. But the military did not celebrate. They understood what this meant. Earth would now be exposed to threats from across the galaxy. The real work was just beginning. Admiral Rebecca Stone stood in her office looking at Earth through the window. The planet looked peaceful from orbit, blue and green and beautiful, but she knew the truth. Earth was a fortress. Humanity was a warrior species. And now the galaxy knew it too. Her communicator chimed. It was a message from the Council. The Zalthor Empire had officially filed a complaint, demanding reparations for the ships they lost. Rebecca read it and laughed. The audacity was incredible. She composed a response. It was short and to the point. The Zalthor Empire invaded human space, fired on human installations, and refused to leave when ordered. They are lucky we only destroyed 5 ships. Consider the matter closed. She sent the message and returned to watching Earth. Somewhere out there, the Zalthor were planning their next move. Other species were studying human tactics, trying to find weaknesses. The galaxy was full of threats. But Earth was ready. Humanity had spent its entire existence preparing for this. They would not be conquered. They would not be intimidated. They would take their place among the stars, and they would do it on their own terms. The galaxy had been warned. Now it was learning the truth. Humans were not the most advanced species. They were not the strongest or the fastest. But they were survivors, and that made them more dangerous than any weapon. 5 years had passed since the Zalthor incident. The galaxy had changed in ways no one predicted. Earth's region was no longer forbidden. Instead, it had become one of the most active zones in known space. Human ships traveled to dozens of star systems. Human traders established routes that connected previously isolated species. Human technology flowed outward, changing lives across multiple worlds. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Defiant. He had been promoted 3 times since that first encounter with Vecron. Now he commanded a joint task force with ships from 6 different species. The fleet patrolled the outer rim, protecting trade routes from pirates and raiders. "Admiral, we are receiving a distress signal," Lieutenant Amy Chen reported. She was still his tactical officer, having refused promotion to stay with Jake's command. "A Thalrix cargo vessel is under attack near the Kepler belt." "Pirates, looks like? How many?" Jake asked. 4 ships, medium class. "The cargo vessel is not armed," Jake nodded. "All ships, battle stations. Set course for the Kepler belt. Maximum speed. Send a message to the pirates. Tell them to break off their attack and surrender." The fleet moved as one unit. Human destroyers, Thalrix cruisers, Drexel scouts, and 2 massive Felnar battleships. It was an impressive show of force, representing the new cooperation between species. The pirates saw them coming and made a fatal mistake. They decided to fight. The battle lasted 4 minutes. The pirates were experienced raiders who had preyed on merchant ships for years. They had never faced a coordinated military response before. The joint task force tore them apart with practiced efficiency. 2 pirate ships were destroyed. 2 more surrendered when they realized resistance was pointless. Jake ordered the survivors brought aboard for questioning. The Thalrix cargo ship captain contacted them, grateful for the rescue. "Thank you, Admiral Morrison," the Thalrix captain said. His insect-like face was difficult for humans to read, but his voice conveyed genuine relief. "Those pirates have terrorized this route for months. No one has been able to stop them." "That is what we are here for," Jake replied. "Safe travels, Captain." Later, in his ready room, Jake reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Human influence was spreading faster than anyone expected, not through conquest or force, but through simple effectiveness. When humans committed to something, they did it completely. Human doctors worked in alien hospitals treating diseases that had plagued other species for centuries. Earth's medical knowledge, developed through treating countless injuries in hostile environments, proved incredibly useful. Techniques designed to save soldiers in combat zones now saved civilian lives across the galaxy. Human engineers helped build stronger structures, more efficient ships, better life support systems. Earth's experience with harsh environments meant human designs worked in places where alien technology failed. Human military advisors taught at war academies on a dozen worlds. Species that had never fought ground wars learned tactics that humans considered basic. Ship commanders learned to think like predators instead of administrators. But it was not all positive. Some species resented human involvement in galactic affairs. They saw humans as upstarts, primitives who should not have risen so quickly. Others feared human military power, worried that eventually humans would use it for conquest. The Zalthor Empire was particularly bitter. 5 years after their defeat, they still had not recovered their pride. Vecron had been demoted and sent to a frontier posting. His replacement as fleet commander, a warrior named Torak, was even more aggressive and wanted revenge. Jake knew this from intelligence reports. The humans had established a very effective spy network. They had learned long ago that information was as important as weapons. Human agents worked throughout the galaxy, gathering data, watching for threats, preparing for possibilities. On Earth's moon, in the Galactic Defense Academy, Amy Chen's sister, Lieutenant Kate Chen, taught a class of 40 students from 12 different species. The subject was human strategic thinking, and Kate was one of the best instructors in the program. "War is problem-solving," Kate said, walking between the rows of students. "You have an objective. Your enemy has an objective. The winner is whoever solves the problem of achieving their objective while preventing the enemy from achieving theirs. Humans are very good at this because we have been solving violent problems for our entire existence." A Zalthor student raised a hand. "But humans also lose wars." "Your history shows many defeats," Kate smiled. "True. But what you should focus on is what happened after those defeats. Did the losing side surrender forever? Did they give up? Or did they learn, adapt, and come back stronger? Humans don't fight to win. We fight to survive. Winning is just survival taken to its conclusion." She pulled up a historical display showing human conflicts through the ages. "Look at this pattern. Humans fight, lose, learn from defeat, apply those lessons, and fight again. We iterate. We improve. We never stop adapting. That is what makes us dangerous. Not our strength or our weapons, but our refusal to accept permanent defeat. The Zalthor student looked uncomfortable. Kate knew why. The Zalthor had been raised on stories of their military superiority. The idea that persistence mattered more than initial strength challenged their entire worldview. After class, the Zalthor student approached Kate. "Lieutenant Chen, may I ask you something personal?" "Go ahead," Kate said. "Do you hate my species? After what we did to your people?" Kate considered the question carefully. "No, I don't hate the Zalthor. Your commanders made bad decisions based on incomplete information. Your warriors fought and died following orders. That deserves respect, not hate. War is tragedy. But warriors on both sides are just people trying to survive and do their duty. I reserve my anger for leaders who start wars unnecessarily, not for soldiers who fight them." The student seemed surprised. "That is not what I expected. Our propaganda says humans are violent savages who enjoy killing." "Propaganda is usually wrong," Kate said. "Humans understand violence because we have lived with it forever. But understanding something is not the same as enjoying it. Most humans would prefer peace. We just refuse to be victims of those who choose violence." Meanwhile, on the council station, Dr. Lisa Morgan sat in a meeting with ambassadors from 20 species. They were discussing medical cooperation, specifically how to handle a plague outbreak on a Felnar colony world. "The disease spreads through respiratory contact," Lisa explained. "We have seen similar patterns on Earth. The key is isolation, rapid testing, and targeted treatment. We can send medical teams immediately if you grant permission." The Felnar ambassador, a large mammalian creature with thick fur, nodded gratefully. "We would appreciate any help you can offer. The plague has killed thousands already. Our teams will arrive within 2 days," Lisa said. "But you need to understand something. Human doctors will do things that might seem extreme. We will isolate entire communities if necessary. We will enforce quarantine strictly. We will make hard choices about resource allocation. These methods work, but they require trust and cooperation." "Why are human medical protocols so harsh?" another ambassador asked. "Because we learned them through experience," Lisa replied. "Earth has dealt with pandemics that killed millions. We know what happens when disease spreads unchecked. We developed protocols that prioritize saving the most lives possible, even if that means difficult decisions. If you want our help, you need to accept our methods." The Felnar ambassador agreed immediately. Pride meant nothing when people were dying. The human medical teams deployed 2 days later and stopped the plague within 3 weeks. The Felnar never forgot that humans saved countless lives without hesitation or demands for payment. Back at the council chambers, Elder Saren met with the human ambassador, Senator Paul Garcia. Paul had been appointed to the position after successfully negotiating several trade agreements. He understood how to work with alien species while protecting human interests. "There is a problem," Saren said. "Several species have filed complaints about human military expansion. They claim you are militarizing too aggressively, building too many weapons, preparing for conquest." Paul leaned back in his chair. "How many bases have we built outside our own system?" 3, Saren replied. "All with permission from local governments. How many ships do we have in the joint patrol forces?" 47 out of 400 total. "How many wars have we started?" "None." Paul spread his hands. "Then what exactly is the problem?" "We maintain defenses appropriate to our security needs. We participate in joint operations. We follow all council regulations. What these species really fear is that we refuse to be weak." Saren's form rippled with what might have been agreement. "You are correct, of course. But perception matters in politics. Many species are uncomfortable with how quickly humans have become influential. They expected you to remain junior members for decades, slowly learning your place. Instead, you have become essential to galactic security in just 5 years. Should we apologize for being effective?" Paul asked. "No," Saren said, "but you should be aware that success breeds resentment. The Zalthor in particular are building up military forces. Intelligence suggests they may attempt to regain their honor through another confrontation." Paul's expression hardened. "Let them try. We beat them once. We will beat them again if necessary." "That is precisely the attitude that worries other species," Saren said. "You are confident to the point of arrogance." "Not arrogance," Paul corrected. "Realism. We know what we are capable of. We know our limits and our strengths. If the Zalthor attack us again, they will lose again. That is not arrogance. That is fact based on experience. Saren changed the subject. There is another matter. The Council is considering expanding exploration into uncharted regions. We want human ships to participate. Why? Paul asked. Because humans are survivors, Saren said simply. Unknown space contains unknown dangers. Other species hesitate to explore regions where they might encounter threats. Humans embrace that risk. You are the best choice for dangerous exploration. Paul smiled. You want us to be your scouts, to go where it is too dangerous for others. I want you to do what you are best at, Saren replied, surviving in hostile environments and adapting to unexpected challenges. In exchange, you would have first claim on any resources discovered and equal partnership in any new contacts made. Paul considered the offer. It was smart politics. It gave humans opportunity while acknowledging their capabilities. I will present it to our government. I suspect they will agree. 3 months later, the first joint exploration mission launched. Captain Chris Patterson commanded the human ship Horizon, part of a 5-ship expedition into uncharted space. Chris had proven himself during the Zalthor conflict and had been promoted rapidly. The exploration fleet discovered 3 new star systems, 2 of which contained planets capable of supporting life. One planet had primitive life forms, the other had ruins of an ancient civilization. Both were claimed for joint development between the species participating in the mission. The success of the exploration program led to more missions. Humans proved themselves invaluable at handling unexpected situations. When one expedition encountered hostile space creatures, the human ship drove them off while the others escaped. When another mission found a dying colony that had lost contact with the Council, human doctors saved most of the population. Slowly, reluctantly, even the species that resented humans began to respect them, not because humans were perfect, but because they were reliable. When humans promised something, they delivered. When humans took on a task, they completed it. When humans made allies, they protected those allies. The Zalthor, however, remained bitter. Torak gathered forces in secret, planning to restore his species' honor. He studied human tactics, looking for weaknesses. He built new ships with weapons designed specifically to counter human advantages. Admiral Jake Morrison knew about these preparations. Human intelligence was too good to miss something that obvious. He warned the Council, but some species dismissed his concerns. They thought he was exaggerating the threat to justify human military expansion. Let them come, Jake told Rebecca Stone during a secure communication. She was now head of all human military forces, equivalent to a Council Grand Admiral. We will be ready. Are you sure? Rebecca asked. Torak has 30 ships now, all new construction, all designed to fight us. 30 ships commanded by officers who still think technology wins wars, Jake replied. They have not learned the real lesson. Wars are won by the side that adapts fastest, fights hardest, and refuses to quit. Numbers matter, but will matters more. Rebecca smiled. You sound like Kate. She has been teaching too many classes. She is teaching the right lessons, Jake said. Did you see her latest class roster? 40 students, 12 species, including 3 Zalthor. We are changing how the galaxy thinks about warfare. Give it another generation and everyone will fight like humans. That is a terrifying thought, Rebecca said, but she was smiling. As the 5th anniversary of First Contact approached, the Galactic Council planned a celebration. Earth would host the event, welcoming representatives from 50 species. It would be the largest gathering in Council history. The preparations were massive. Humans built a special station in orbit of Earth, designed to accommodate multiple species' environmental needs. Security was tight, with ships from a dozen militaries providing protection. On the day of the celebration, Elder Saren gave a speech that would be remembered for generations. 5 years ago, humanity emerged into our galaxy with violence and fire. Many species feared them, some still do. But in these 5 years, we have learned something important. Humans are dangerous, yes. They are warriors born of a death world. But they are also doctors, teachers, engineers, explorers, and friends. They are complex like all intelligent life. They contain multitudes. The galaxy is better for their presence. Safer, because they guard our borders. Healthier, because they share their medical knowledge. Stronger, because they teach us to survive. We were warned to stay away from Earth's region. That warning was meant to protect us from our own arrogance. Those who ignored it learned hard lessons. But those who approached with respect found valuable allies. Let this anniversary mark not just first contact, but the beginning of a new era. An era where Deathworld species are not feared but valued. Where strength is not threatening but reassuring. Where humans take their rightful place as equals and partners in building our shared future. The speech was met with applause from most species. The Zalthor representatives sat in silence, their faces unreadable. That night at a private dinner, Paul Garcia met with Kilith. The former Zalthor science officer had defected to Earth after the battle, seeking asylum. He now worked as a consultant, helping humans understand alien psychology. Your people are still planning something, Paul said quietly. Kelith nodded sadly. Torak will not let go of the past. He believes that defeating humans in battle will restore Zalthor honor. He does not understand that honor is not about winning. It is about how you conduct yourself in victory or defeat. Will he attack? Eventually, Kelith said. Not here, not now, but somewhere, sometime he will test himself against human forces again. Paul sighed. Then we will deal with it when it happens. Humans are good at improvising. Kelith smiled, showing pointed teeth. That is what terrifies my people. You adapt faster than we can plan. Every strategy we develop, you counter before we implement it. It is like fighting shadows. We prefer to think of it as being flexible, Paul said. Above Earth, the new defense station orbited peacefully. Its weapon systems were hidden but ready. Thousands of platforms throughout the Sol system tracked every ship that entered. Mars colonies thrived with populations in the millions. Jupiter's moons hosted industrial complexes that built ships for the entire sector. Earth itself remained largely unchanged. Cities grew, technologies advanced, but the planet that had birthed humanity retained its wild character. Storms still raged. Earthquakes still shook the ground. Nature remained dangerous and unpredictable, and the humans who lived there remained survivors, ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at them. In a final transmission to the Council, Rebecca Stone summarized humanity's position with characteristic directness. We came from a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived by being tougher, smarter, and more determined than anything that threatened us. Now we are in the galaxy, and the same rules apply. We will be good neighbors to those who treat us fairly. We will be valuable allies to those who earn our trust, and we will be nightmares to those who threaten us or our friends. The choice belongs to each species. Choose wisely. The galaxy was learning, slowly, painfully, but learning. Humans were not going away. They would not be contained. They would not be intimidated. They would either be accepted as partners or become too powerful to challenge. Most species chose partnership. Some chose resentment. A few chose hostility. Time would tell how those choices worked out. But the humans were not worried. They had faced worse odds before. They had survived extinction events, ice ages, pandemics, and their own self-destructive tendencies. A few angry aliens with warships. That was just another Tuesday for humanity. The galaxy had been warned. Now it was learning to live with the consequences of ignoring that warning. Earth's region was no longer forbidden. It was simply respected. And the humans who called it home had proven themselves worthy of that respect through courage, competence, and an unwillingness to be anyone's victim. The new galactic order had arrived. And at its heart, whether the galaxy liked it or not, stood humanity. Survivors, warriors, explorers, and occasionally, when necessary, the galaxy's most dangerous species, but also its most reliable friends. The galaxy was learning, and humanity was teaching. The lessons would continue for a long time to come.